What's up, gamers, and welcome back to another episode of Like or Dislike, where we look at some of the latest games that come out. I give you a recent episode of the game, tell you about the mechanics, how the game works, my thoughts overall, and if it works on the Steam Deck, if it's out on Steam. And today we're looking at Tinykins. Real quick, just have to give a big shout out to the developer team, Splashteam. Thank you for giving me a copy of the game to do a review on. So with that being said, let's hop into it. Now, Tinykin is a very fun and challenging puzzle solver and platformer game. They'll definitely give you vibes of Pikmin if you grew up playing that series. And if you never played Pikmin, it's a very fun series. Now, story-wise, you discover that humans did not originate where you live. You track down a signal to what you believe is the original homeworld of humans, but when you teleport there, you end up being shrunk and you're trapped inside a person's house. Now you have to work with the bugs in the house and the communities they form to find a way home. While you're doing this, you discover these little creatures called Tinykins that help you along your adventure. Now each room has its own particular biome with challenging platforming, puzzles to solve, and helping the communities with different tasks. So you got one that's kind of like a jungle theme, one that's kind of like a dark water underneath, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Now each Tinykin can be used for specific uses, like some are used for carrying heavy objects or to move things out of the way, some can form a bridge, some can blow things up, and a lot more. And I really like using the different Tinykins for the different activities. It really was amazing when you're using like different ones together to get certain things done. Now graphics wise and the way this game looks, I love the art style of it because they use both 2D and 3D at the same time. So how this works is the world is in 3D, but all the characters are in 2D style, moving as you move around the world. And I thought that was kind of interesting. It kind of gave me like Paper Mario vibes, how the characters would move with you, how they would just keep going left and right, but the world is all 3D, you can see everything around you. Now, it took me roughly about 4.5 hours to complete the game while completing some of the side tasks. I thought that was a decent amount of time, not trying to overstretch your time in this game, because sometimes they could do that. They can just, like I said, overstretch it where you're giving all these things and then you lose that feel and that charm of the game, and then it just gets boring and annoying. But I thought that was a decent amount of time for this type of game. So for right now, as I record this video, it isn't verified for the Steam Deck, but I ran it on mine with no issues. Honestly, I didn't see any issues at all. There's no frame rate drops, no resolution issues, controls work fine, so you can literally play it on the go. If you have a Steam Deck, you can install it and it runs perfectly fine. And I mean, usually when you do Steam Deck games, sometimes they're not verified. Sometimes you may have to play around with the settings. Sometimes they're perfect, and this is one that turned out to be perfect. And that's pretty much the game itself. There's kind of a quick, short, and simple one. It's a nice, simple game you can get in and have fun. Like I said, not extremely long, and nothing wrong with that. So with that being said, let's take a look at the pros versus the cons. Starting off with the pros, the first thing we're going to look at is the game is challenging. With its puzzles, being able to platform, getting around, trying to figure out how to move things to where you need to. It was very challenging, and I like that. It really made me like kind of think outside the box on how to get some stuff done. So the second pro we're going to look at is the music. Each room has its own music theme, and I like that because it really like set the mood and tempo for where you was. Whether it was like really upbeat or very low, slow, low beats. I really like that, and I think that's a good thing. Cause like I said, I always think music is a very important, big thing in games. It helps set the ambiance of what you're going through. And the last pro we're gonna look at, the game runs on Steam Deck. Sometimes I think if a game can run on the Steam Deck, I think that's a good thing, because then you don't have to always have to go back to your PC or your laptop to play it. You could just pick it up on your Steam Deck and go. And since, like I said earlier, this game runs with no issues, nothing you really got to play around with, no settings. You can literally just pick up where you stopped off on your PC or laptop on the Steam Deck and keep on going. So with the pros done, let's take a look at the cons. Now the first con is platforming. If you're not a fan of platformer games, this will not be the game for you, honestly, because that is what you're doing 50% of the time. The other 50% you're solving puzzles. So if you don't like platforming, I cannot recommend this game to you. The other next con, the game is short. Like I said, it took me roughly about 4.5 hours, rounded up about 5. Now, I know people that like very long, extensive games. I know some people that love short and simple games. So if you're not a big fan of short games, I can definitely understand you not want to pick this up. And the last con we're going to look at, and it's kind of a personal one, is the camera. So the camera is a free floating camera and you can rotate it around you for 360. I did see in the settings where I believe you could set it to a certain point, but sometimes that can be annoying, just the camera rotating in the wrong direction when you're trying to go somewhere, or when you move somewhere the camera moves around it. I know that can be annoying for some people. For me, it didn't bug me too much once I got used to it, but I can see some people getting annoyed by that, especially in the way the world is. But that's the pros and the cons of the games. Overall, I gotta give the game a like. Like I said, it definitely gives me that vibe of Pikmin's. It's funny, it's fun, it's short, it's simple. It definitely gets you into the world. And I kind of hope they make a second one. I'm kind of curious like where it would go from here if they did a second one. I would definitely like to see it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you already got the game, let me know what you like or don't like about the game. If you're thinking about getting the game, let me know. I hope this helped out some. As always, if you haven't already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I talk about stuff going on in the game and tech world. I do reviews on some of the latest games and tech that's out. I do top 10 new games coming out every month and so much more. Make sure to follow me on Twitter and my social media pages so you can see what's going on if you want to reach out to me. I love talking about gaming, so don't be afraid to hit me up. You can catch me streaming on Twitch playing indie, PC, console, and VR games. So if you want to see some of these games I play in real time, or if you just want to chat up with me, just playing some good multiplayer games and having fun, that's where I'll be. But this is Proto. I'll catch you guys in the next video.